All right, good afternoon. This is the Town of Northborough Water and Sewer Commission meeting for June 9th, 2020. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Water and Sewer Commission will be conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance by members of the public will be permitted. Our first item is approval of the April 28th, 2020 meeting minutes. Unfortunately, our third commission member, David Pepe, is not in attendance at this meeting. He and I are the only ones that were in attendance for the April 28th meeting. Therefore, we'll have to defer action on that consideration of those meeting minutes until David is present. I do have some comments. Do you want me to pass them on now at this point, or?
You can email the comments over to Sarah or I, and we can update and redistribute so they can be considered at the next meeting.
Okay, yeah, they're fairly simple editorial stuff. So our second item is discussion and endorsement of a revised fiscal year 2021 budget item. So Scott, you have the floor.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. In your packets you received, there was a memorandum outlining the proposed budgetary changes, as well as a summary spreadsheet that identifies all of the past budgets, as we always have, from FY15 through 20. And then it also includes the originally proposed FY21 budget, what I'm referring to as the FY21 COVID budget, and the delta. For the water and sewer divisions, the delta is easy to describe. The vast majority of the lines, the expense lines in water and sewer, are fixed. We have very little control over the electricity our pumps use, what the MWRA charges us for bulk water purchase, what the city of Marlborough charges us for the sanitary sewer discharge, and what our consultants, Commissioner Pepe is getting in. There he is. Hi, Dave. We're live on YouTube and recording. The meeting has already started. So again, in your packets, you have a memorandum and you have the budget spreadsheet that compares original FY21 to what I'm referring to as the FY21 COVID budget. As you know, the vast majority of our lines are fixed. Outside of buying bulk water from the authority and paying for sanitary sewer treatment, the largest items we have, line items we have, are payments on debt, loans and bonds that we've taken out for past projects. Second largest is labor, and that's where the adjustments are made for FY21's reduced COVID budget. There's been two positions that have been defunded. One is the part-time administrative assistant that is shared amongst water and sewer with a 60-40 split. That position will go unfilled. That person holding that position will be laid off, and that position will go unfilled for FY21. The other position that has been unfunded is the assistant DPW director's position. It's been vacant for a little while. We've managed through the past fiscal year. We're proposing to not fund that position in FY21. The only other change you see in the comparison spreadsheet is related to the MWRA assessment. When we prepare the draft budgets in February, we base it on the estimated assessment that the MWRA provides us. And then generally in May, we get the actual assessment. And in this case, it went down by approximately $4,200. on a $1.4 million line item that barely moves the needle. So with the goals that we put forth in preparing this FY21 budget was not just focused on the single fiscal year. It included what we expect to see in FY22, which most likely will be a continuation of financial hardships for the municipality. What we didn't want to do was cut the budget to the bone and have no place to go next year, make reasonable adjustments this year, and allow for additional adjustments if need be next year. The only other adjustments that could be made for next year directly affect services. Again, with water and sewer, a lot of the services we provide are mandated. And we need to exercise our valves. We need to maintain our GIS mapping. There's no choice. DEP requires that of us. So we're required to do leak detection. We're required to do tank inspections. We don't have a choice. Deferred items would be, we wait on a grinder cartridge for a muffin monster on the sewer side. You know, on the water side, you know, a deferral could be hydrant replacement. Those are the types of things that we could defer in FY22. So again, our goal going for FY21, eliminate eliminate one unfilled position, and then lay off one part-time position, and have something in the quiver for an FY22 adjustment if need be. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. If you have any questions.
I'll open it up for comments for the commission. I do have just one question, but I'll let the other guys chime in if they want to. Bryant, David, anything?
I was just curious about the town manager, administrative thought about the next fiscal year budget. I mean, like you say, hands are pretty much tied on this year. Is any master plan that will miraculously help us?
One of the anomalies with municipal budgets is that we are always behind what the general economy sees.
Sure.
So the economy struggles, stores close. The state sees that impact right away with sales tax. As the economy contracts, you know, maybe home values go down. People don't buy new vehicles. Things lose value or stay stagnant. And the following year, when those homes are reassessed and the excise taxes aren't coming in the way we expected, that's when the municipality gets hit. So
right.
FY21 and late 20 is a struggle for our businesses and our residents. That results in an FY21/22 struggle from the municipality.
Right. I was just wondering how sounds like we're bare bones now. All the projects are put off, I imagine. Are we going to be really hurting next year?
There's
the impact of this year, but then, like you say, it'll be worse with lag time. If we're bare bones now, what are we going to do?
The general fund approach being taken is very similar to what I described for the two enterprise funds.
Yeah.
Is to make adjustments now while maintaining level of service. Have no cutting of services, and have those adjustments available in 22 if need be.
Right.
My question, Scott, was when I first looked at it, I thought you were making adjustments because you had increased expenses in other areas. This, just for my own information, maybe for everybody, is this clear? Is it specifically in anticipation of dropping revenues? What's the motivation behind coming up with this budget?
The assistant director position is funded 50% by the general fund, and the other 50% is shared amongst the two enterprise funds. So that the unfunding of that position helps the general fund side, just as it does the enterprise funds. You know, like you said, Mr. Chairman, there's not a lot to cut in budget without cutting services when it comes to enterprise funds. And because there's so many requirements, we can't not do leak detection. We don't have that option. So there is very little we can cut out without cutting service.
No, I understand all that, but I guess in my mind, what's the motivation behind adjusting the budget? Is it because you're expecting a drop in revenue?
We're not projecting any drops in water or sewer revenue. The closure of restaurants obviously reduced their water usage, but that has been offset by everybody being home running their dishwashers twice a day. Believe it or not, it's been almost a direct offset. So we haven't seen any negative revenue impacts. The reduction of the assistant director position obviously helps the general fund. Elimination of the part-time administrative staff is a means of sharing the burden of loss across all entities. If the library is going to lose part-time librarians, and the senior center may lose somebody from the bistro, and town hall may lose somebody from rec, it's fair that everybody has their own skin in the game. So,
okay, so again, just for my own information, we don't expect any drop in terms of monies coming in from rate payments.
no,
This is our contribution to the complete town side. It's not a water and sewer related per se. In other words, you're not adjusting the budget because we expect a drop off in revenue from ratepayers.
that's correct.
It's just because some of this is shared on the town side, the administrative assistants, et cetera.
That's correct.
Okay, it's not because we expect a drop off in income from the water and sewer enterprises.
No, and I'm curious to see where the more global revenues fall on the authority over the coming fiscal year. They're going to feel the impact far differently than we will, the MWRA, with cities shutting down as opposed to, our Route 20 corridor.
Yeah.
So that's where I see a lot of volatility with the MWRA assessment. And be aware, our budget, $2.6 million, 1.4 of that is the MWRA. That's a huge piece. And if the MWRA's assessment model changes for the next fiscal year, it would likely change to the negative for us, I would think.
Has there been any talk with MWRA about the impacts to their user communities and
They
the rate?
They adjusted our assessment down.
Yeah, but not much.
Yeah, not much. But their narrative they provided relevant to that that reduction in assessment was driven by relief. COVID relief. They've also provided some relief for their loan program. Some communities may have had a difficult time meeting their loan payment obligations. That's not Northborough, but they did provide some relief there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, any further questions, comments? Hearing none, this will be a motion by roll call to endorse the revised fiscal year 2021 budget as presented to the commission today. Commissioner Furman.
Aye.
Commissioner Pepe. You're on mute, David.
He can't hear you.
I see. Aye.
Thank you. And Commissioner Meter is aye. Do we want to go back to the minutes, or do we want to march on to the next meeting item, Scott?
We can address the minutes. I mean, we have a full commission here.
Okay, so we'll go back to consideration and approval of the meeting minutes of April 28th, 2020. David, you and I are the only ones in attendance at that meeting. So if you have comments.
No, look through it. I'm fine.
Okay, I'll try to quickly do these. There's like 3, I think. On the first page, suggest on the also present to add BOS in parentheses after Board of Selectmen for Julianne. We do use BOS a little bit further on in the minutes. Item 2, the second paragraph, first sentence, Mr. Charpentier reviewed. I'm suggesting add the request. Reviewed the request. Down third line, whether you want to add, there's a missing dimension, which I'm estimating is 4.5 feet. Maybe different, I don't know. You have the 20 foot by 40 foot. So I'm just suggesting you add that third dimension. The COVID-19 update, where you mentioned the disposable masks from Liz, whether you want to mention Liz's last name. And then in other business, down in the third paragraph where you say SCADA, whether you want to spell that out or just say control system or something, just so somebody that's an outside reader will know what it is. That's all I have. Anything further? Dave, you're set? Okay, so this will be a motion by roll call to approve the minutes of the April 28th, 2020 regular meeting as amended. Bryant, I guess you're a no vote. Absent.
Right.
Commissioner Pepe?
Aye.
Aye. And Commissioner Meter is an aye. Okay. Next item is a sewer abatement request for 269 West Main Street, building number 4, account number 4265. Mr. Charpentier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The property owner reached out to us almost immediately after receiving their bill. The bill was in excess of $3,000 during a time when their business structure was essentially vacant. It houses like a couple of realtors and some service companies, no massive water users. As soon as he got his bill, he went down to the basement to see what was going on, and what was going on was a water leak. He reported it to us, called, said I had a water leak, my bill is exorbitant, I had the water leak repaired, is there anything you can do? Our inquiry was, where did the water go? Do you have a floor drain down there? If it went into a floor drain, it likely went into the sewer, so there will be no abatement. He said, no, it actually flowed right into a sump pump. So where does the sump pump go? Outside. So I went to the property on May 5th, took a look at the sump pump discharge. It looks like it was original to construction. There's a 1-inch diameter PVC pipe that exits the foundation, takes a hard turn, and then discharges into the downspout of the building that goes into on-site leaching for groundwater recharge. So the water did not enter the sewer system. I explained to him that he needs to submit a formal abatement request in writing, which you see in the memorandum in italics. The calculations derived were derived through Beacon, utilizing their average consumption prior to the leak and applying it over the duration of the leak. So again, this is an abatement for the sewer portion only, as it did not go in the sewer. He's still paying for the water. And our recommendation is the abatement being the amount of $2,623.33.
Okay, any questions from members of the commission?
Why didn't we pick up the leak?
I don't know why we didn't get a
Our
leak
new
alert.
meters, right?
Yeah, I don't know why we didn't get a leak alert. I don't know. We
Yeah,
get a leak. We get a lot of leak alerts.
question. That was going to be my question.
We get a lot of leak alerts. We don't monitor them all. When you go on the Beacon system as an administrator, you could see 47 leaks, and they're not all leaks. Half the businesses on Forbes Road show leaks because they operate all the time. National Grid is a leak because they're in there 24 hours a day, always flushing the toilet. So we don't really specifically go through the leaks. if we monitor, like, so example, the town accounts, we have our town accounts set up to notify us via email in the event a leak occurs. So we had a seeping valve in the heating system that was feeding the heat more water. We got an alert. We realized it was there. As a responsible water customer, the town is, we monitor our leaks. He should have. He will now.
Well, but the thing is, he didn't get did he get an alert?
He didn't set it up. You need to set up the alert. You as a water customer, Dave, you would log in, you would set up your account. You would indicate, I want to know if there's 24-hour flow, and I want to know if my flow exceeds, 20 gallons a minute, so that you're aware of what's going on.
Okay.
So you can set those protocols. And every time somebody calls about a high water bill and we see there's a leak, one of the first things we do is send them the Ion Water login information so they can take a look at it, hopefully monitor it.
Mhm.
That actually would be a good way to monitor your home. If your water heater broke or something, you could potentially have an early warning on that, or earlier than usual, maybe.
I let John Coder know that right after his water heater blew.
Well, yeah. In my case, when it happened many years ago, I could hear the ticking of the water meter. So I knew water was coming in, but it wasn't being used by normal processes.
I wouldn't have that problem as I have no basement. So if I'm in the house, I know it's leaking.
Here you go.
The bill was how much? 3,000 plus?
Yeah, it was
Water.
a little over $3,000.
And you're saying the new bill is going to be,
A little over 400, just about $400.
so sewer's that much?
Yeah.
What is it? What's the factor? Factor of 2? Factor of 3?
It's a factor of 2, a little over 2.
So I don't know. That seems just too much, too little.
I could find out exactly what his bill amount was.
Well,
His bill was
Be like 164 times 117 or 100 and something.
about $3,200.
I have his bill here, Scott.
What do you do? Well, how much was
Yep.
it?
$3,075.47.
Okay.
So of that, the water was $1,047.66, and sewer was $1,982.81.
okay. So it's 1,000. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right. This will be a motion by roll call to approve the sewer abatement for 269 West Main Street, building number 4, account number 4265, in the amount of $2,623.33. Commissioner Furman,
Aye.
Commissioner Pepe,
Aye.
Commissioner Meter, aye. All right. Our next item is COVID-19 department update.
So we are, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're back at 100% staff reporting. It was a struggle with 50% on, 50% off, especially in the water sewer side, being a department of 4. The way we're maintaining our staff segregation is we have established the Hudson Street Pump Station as a second place of operations. We have 2 staff members working solely out of the Hudson Street Pump Station, the other 2 staff members out of the water garage. The interactions that occur at the garage for equipment are done with safe social distancing. Masks are worn at all times anytime crews work together. It's working out well. You know, it was a need for the Water Sewer Division to have a second place of operations. And we've been trying to get Hudson Street established to be that. It did require us to bring in a new internet line, but we have full redundancy between the water garage and the Hudson Street pump station. This will aid us in the future SCADA implementation project, having Hudson Street set up and established as a second location will be very helpful. On the, it has, you know, the limited work staffing has limited our efforts. We're still doing our valve turning exercise with valve exercising program. It's slower. Directional flushing directional flushing is going to be starting in a couple of weeks. Having two, you know, one crew in one direction, one crew in the other direction. So that'll be relatively easy to distance. And the I&I program proceeded. There was a bit of a hiccup because this year we were scheduled for inflow inspections. And obviously we were not able to go into homes to do inflow inspections. So we reconfigured our work plan for the coming years to have this year be another infiltration year with more pipe cleaning and video inspecting. And when the COVID-19 emergency is finally over, we can put in the inflow program again. And anything to add, Tim?
No, everything's been going fine now. They were back to full staff.
Is there gonna be any,
Nice to see you, Tim.
Nice to see you.
I see you on the road every once in a while, so keep it up, man.
is there gonna be any additional flushing because businesses have been shut down? You know, stagnant water for a month or so?
We issued a public notification through Town News. We put it on the website. It's on the COVID website as well. Trying to notify, you know, landlords and business owners, mostly the business owners, that when they get in there, they need to flush their lines. You know, the simplest way to do it is by temperature. Start the water, feel it. It's going to be whatever temperature your building is, and when it gets nice and cool, give it a couple minutes, and now you've cleaned out the line. And to do all your service locations, you know, do all the faucets. You don't want those branch lines that come off the main feed to be stagnant, you know. So I'm hoping they're complying with that. I haven't had any calls or concerns or complaints about, you know, discolored or a water odor. So.
Okay.
The town meeting, staying on the COVID topic, the town meeting, we're still working on the logistics for town meeting. There are some critical projects for this commission that are on the agenda, specifically the water garage. We're still hoping to work with the Assabet students for outfitting the garage after a public bid of the building itself. Our engineers are working diligently on getting a bid package together in hopes to put that on the street this summer, shortly after town meeting. It's a time critical schedule in that if we can have town meeting in June, we can bid it in July, award it in August, and hopefully have the building procured and being constructed November, December, so that when the students, you know, report to school after the holidays, they have a shell to work inside of. You know, losing 2 months loses the year. You know, in construction, 2 months kills you. If you can't, if we were not to have a town meeting until August or September, the year is gone, and we would lose the kids till the following fall. I don't know how that works out with their schedule because they have other projects in the queue. So I'm still hoping that can go forward. The other project we have on the agenda for town meeting is the Assabet water storage tank. That's not time critical right now, but we are submitting an application to SRF, State Revolving Fund, to fund that tank. If the federal government issues recovery money like ERA, in a similar fashion as ERA, in the past, they've funneled that money through existing mechanisms, SRF being one of them. They can get a lot of money into a lot of hands very quickly through a structured program like that. Our project is in the queue and it's been approved for funding. We could access those funds quickly. In order for it to be in the queue for funding, it needs to be funded at town meeting. So while that project physically can wait without harming the system, it would be upsetting to see, 25% grants be pushed through SRF and have us not have that project on the approved list because we didn't go through town meeting in a timely fashion. That's $250,000 that the commission would say goodbye to. So, I mean, there are other projects on the general fund side that have similar anomalies. There's a generator at the highway garage. That's a 75% grant match that needs to be locally approved. But that's the big one for us, is the tank on the money side, and then the building on the schedule side. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any other questions, comments from the commission or audience?
The only comment I'd have, John, this is Brian, is that whenever the town meeting does happen, hopefully it'll be in June, that the importance of the passage of that SRF project be emphasized. That, so people are clear that this isn't pie in the sky. This has got a big benefit to it, even though the project may wait.
Kind of lost it at the end there, Brian.
Well, just that admittedly, the project might have to wait a while because it's not urgent. However, the funding aspect is very urgent, and that for that reason alone, it should be approved with
Absolutely right.
with that in mind. Just what you described. I mean, I think that
Yep.
would be good. That's it.
Thank you.
Julianne, you had something?
I did. So if town meeting is pushed off because of, concerns of health reasons, could those projects that you mentioned, which are very timely, could they be approved in the 1/12 budget?
No.
No.
The 1/12 budget would approve payment for loans on projects. So the approval of those two projects, the borrowing authorization is required at town meeting. So the 1/12 budget will pay our, 1/10 payment for the MWRA and our loan payment for the West Main Street pump station, but it won't. That cannot be done in a 1/12 budget.
Wow, that's very important to know. And my other question is just like a customer service thing. The alert thing that you have on water for residents.
Mm-hmm.
At some future meeting, Scott, would you mind just reminding people about that at the selectmen meeting?
Yeah, if you want to bring it up in your report and ask for my my opinion and thoughts, I'd be happy to share it at the selectmen meeting.
Okay.
It's an asset I wish I had at my house. I live in Grafton. I wish I had the ability to monitor not just because I'm an engineer and I'm a geek, but I'd like to see it. It's interesting to see the use. So yeah, I'd be happy to.
Thank you. Okay, that's it for me. Thanks.
Okay. Hearing nothing else, I guess this will be a motion by roll call to adjourn the meeting of the Water and Sewer Commission for today. Commissioner Furman,
Aye.
Commissioner Pepe,
When's the next meeting? What's it being proposed or when it
next
comes?
meeting, I guess, to be determined, right?
Is that it?
I
Is
would- I would-
town meeting still for June 22nd or whatever?
It's tentatively scheduled for the 22nd. We're working on logistics right now on whether that can go forward at that time or if it needs to be moved. My recommendation is that we determine the next Water Sewer Commission meeting at a future date so that we can get through our town meeting, discuss the results, schedules of projects going forward in the event town meeting does happen. If it doesn't and we go down the 112 budget road, then we should probably have a meeting next month. So if you want to tentatively schedule one for next month, we can do that.
No, just because we have in the past typically met and endorsed the town meeting articles. If you want to go without that endorsement this time because of extenuating circumstances, that's fine.
I believe you did that at the past. Sarah, did we have that in a past meeting? Yeah, we went through the capital before all this happened, and your capital items have not changed. It's
Okay.
still the tank in the building.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, so we're back to the motion by roll call. We're up to David,
Aye.
and Commissioner Meter is an aye. So thank you all. Hey, we made it under the 45 minutes too. We didn't get the timer alert there, Scott.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you
Thanks,
all.
everyone. Have a good day.